Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here. Great for recovering alcoholic and addicts, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like, leave me a comment. By all means, share it with somebody who might get something out of it. Other than that, let's get into it, guys. Today, we're gonna just talk about life and getting better. The usual, guys. But the title's gonna be not just lucky, because that's something people tell. I hear it, like, it's funny. People that know me know there's so much intentionality behind everything I do, and everything that I'm receiving because of that, right? But it's funny. I was introduced to a few people today, and they were kind of sorry. My friend was that was introducing me to them was telling what all the things that I've been doing lately, and one by one they all said, "Wow, you're really lucky." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, kind of." But I allowed myself to be lucky, guys. I mean, it sounds like miraculous what has happened in my life, but it's because I invited miracles into my life. And I only say this because I don't want anybody out there to think, oh, well, I'm just an unlucky person. Because that's the thing, guys. If you call yourself an unlucky person, you will be an unlucky person. Find your higher power. And the reason I tell you guys constantly, find your higher power. Again, I call mine God. I will throughout the video. Call yours what you will, regardless whether it's Buddha, Ganesh, Allah, and whatever it is, guys. It's perfect. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from anybody's. Okay, I strongly believe that, and I think more people need to adopt that understanding. This is all source. It is all the governance of everything, right? Regardless of how you want to wrap it, it's the same thing. And it blows my mind that we fight over it the way that we do, but I don't. So, and that being said, guys, develop your relationship with the higher power. Because here's the thing, guys. You've got to get into vibrational alignment and into resonance with your life in order for your life to start thriving. If you want changes, you got to make changes, right? If you want things to change, you got to make changes. Well, in order to make changes, you have to believe. That's the thing, guys. I always come back to me. It always comes back to you. It starts and ends with you because, guys, I believed for a long time that I was a good person. I was capable and this and that and the other, but I wasn't believing that I was lucky and I wasn't taking action, right? So when I started to pray, when I started to communicate with my God, right, with my higher power, whom I choose to call God, things started to be lucky for me because I believed it was possible. You have to get to a state, and guys, I understand it can be so tough because we get so stuck in our ways. The most important thing you've got to do is you've got to arrest the momentum. So again, if you're using drugs, alcohol in a bad way, stop. You've got to get into rehab, get into help. But again, this channel is about so much more than addiction, guys. This is about stepping up and being the best person you can. And every one of you has the power to make your life everything you've ever dreamed of and more in the shortest time period possible. But it starts with finding your higher power, believing that your higher power loves you and wants better for you. Because when you believe that the way that I do, you have to change your behaviors because you can't do, like, for me, I couldn't do the things I used to do knowing that I had a loving, caring higher power. And the thing is, guys, when I started to look at that, I got a little introspective and I started looking back at the culmination of everything that I'd been through. And yes, I put myself through hell that very few people will ever experience. I did it. I did it myself. I don't like saying that. I hate like hell to admit that. For years, I told every story in the world to avoid having to admit that. But once I started to realize that my God kept me, guys, I've survived supernatural things that there's no way. I don't like it. They sound insane, but guys, if you go back and look at my testimony, or the brief synopsis, I spent 3.5 years homeless on the street. Yeah, you can survive that. I've been in and out of prison 15 times. Yeah, you can survive that. I've hit a telephone pole at 150 miles an hour, got thrown to the windshield of a Blazer, and I walked away. Right? That's not normal. I was on a Rice Rocket motorcycle wearing shorts and a tank top, and I hit a Ford Explorer at 175, put the bike in the high-speed walls, pulled it out of it, and drove away. Like, that's not normal, guys. That was my God keeping me whole because he had a plan for me. He knew that eventually I would drive myself into the ground and surrender. And the act of surrender was the strongest, smartest, most powerful thing that I've ever done in my life because it changed everything in that very moment. Now, granted, what happened was when I surrendered to my God, I started to be able to receive. Because, guys, I was the numbest. Like, even my, I don't like to talk about other people in my life, but even I talked to my ex-wife last week and we were talking, And she's shocked by this change in me, right? And so much so she actually wants to come back, but that's another story, and we're not going there. But she's like, you were so robotic that like we didn't think you were human. Like we honestly, you didn't have any feeling. Like I mean, you were the most loving, caring person, but when it came to you, like, it was like you didn't exist, and I didn't because I didn't give myself. I guess I numbed myself to a point that I didn't feel internally anything because everything I had going on around me was so terrible that I had to feel it at that point. I couldn't allow it to happen. So the moment that I invited God into my life, I surrendered my will to God. The first thing He did was started to let me feel things, and that's why I tell you guys, I was sitting here, still getting high. I would come home from work. I was working 4 in the morning until 8 at night. Just the whole situation. Getting high the whole day, coming home with a big pile of drugs, and just trying to numb myself and get through. And guys, literally, I wouldn't sleep for 15 days till I'd crash out for 3 or 4 days. It was amazing I survived that. But again, God kept me safe. God kept me healthy, guys. There's literally nothing wrong with me. Anyway, so when I started to feel, all of a sudden, like, I just couldn't get high anymore. I'm sitting here and I just start crying for no reason because God was giving me feelings back because I'd asked Him for help. I'd asked Him to show me His path for me. Asked Him, knowing, I said literally, I know I'm not doing what's right. I need help. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get there. So He started letting me feel things, guys. This is what happens when you ask for help, when you get into vibrational alignment. Again, I was still way, way out of alignment at that point, but that was the early stages. That was arresting the momentum going the wrong direction. And that was the beginning of this beautiful, beautiful situation that I have today, right? Because when I started to feel, as hard as that was, guys, I went into rehab, a 51-year-old man in a room full of kids, tough kids, street kids, addicts, everybody putting on their front, and here I am. I can't talk because my voice would crack like I'm about to cry. Every time I tried to make a phone call, I'd start to crack up because I was feeling so much. But you know what? I didn't shy away. I just kept doing it because I knew I was getting that inner monologue from God that what was happening was real, and this was going to be my time. I had to step up because again, I was praying scientifically, very, very careful about how I prayed. And if that's something you're interested in, go Google search scientific prayer. There's books on it. There's a lot of good resources. I'll find the book that I have and give it to you. I'll try and post it. I'll post it in the link at the end of the video. It was amazing. But anyway, guys. So as time went on, right, and it's funny because I was so weak at that point. I was so beat up. I was so guys. I was literally knocking at death's door. I was in a bad way, bad way. But God was giving me just enough that I could get through, right? Just enough. And it's like every time I got an ounce of strength, He gave me an ounce of information. It's like I got 2 more ounces of strength. He gave me 2 more ounces of information. And I just started taking these leaps of faith, saying, okay, I just started trusting and believing, even though everything around me said otherwise. I was, on the brink of eviction. I was thousands in debt. I knew I couldn't go back to my job, but I was happy because I knew there was hope. I was given hope. I didn't see any of it in my external environment. My 3D reality was an absolute nightmare, and I did not see any way out of it. But I didn't let that rent space in my head. I let that go, and I fully trusted in God and said, okay, God, I'm going to do the work. You're going to show me my path. I'm going to do anything you say, and I'm going to trust and believe that you'll help me get there. And so as time went on, every single situation, when I'd go to open my mouth and say the normal bullshit that I would say, I'd stop. And all of a sudden, the truth would plop out. And I was shocked. And every time, I'm like, ooh. And it was scary because I was telling truths to people that were very incriminating to me because I had a lot of bullshit going to that, guys. I'm embarrassed to say that everything I had was just, it was just horrible. I was lying to those that loved me. I was ignoring those that loved me. Lying to those that knew me, lying to those that cared about me. I was juggling just, piles of bullshit everywhere, and I let them all go. And I got called out on it constantly in the beginning, but because people could see the sincerity in the work that I was doing, they let me slide and said, okay, well, thank you for letting me know. We kind of saw through most of it anyway, and they appreciate it. And the most miraculous things started happening. Those that I thought were going to hammer me and going to give me the hardest time, and they had the power over me, my landlord, my boss, and my boss, I quit my job, but anyway, my landlord ended up being my best friend. He ended up offering me work, Then I talked to my recovery advisor about it, and all these people are supposed to tell me to do the opposite, but no, they weren't. They could see that I had a plan. Well, I didn't have a plan, but that God had a plan, and that I wanted it, and I was fired up, and I was willing to do anything. So what they did was they started looking for resources to help me. Because I was putting my honest truth out to the universe, I received the most miraculous, guys. I got that $8,000 rent voucher dropped in my lap. Boom, it paid up my back rent. My landlord offered me part-time work for myself at subcontractor rates to work for him to start making money. Then he let me use the truck, and when I told him I quit my job, I was going to start using the truck for work. He gave me the truck from I paid $5,000 for it, $40,000 truck. Guys, all these miraculous things had to happen because I got out of my own way. I turned my will over to God. I took the leaps of faith, and I was paying attention to what was happening in front of me. And all of a sudden, these crazy rewards come, right? So then, the minute that my landlord says, listen, I can't keep paying you with personal checks because it'll get me in trouble with my taxes, I said, well, do I do it? Again, leap of faith, because I was paying attention. God put that conversation in front of me to tell me it's time to step up. So I opened my business. Guys, this is 2 or 3 months ago. I'm now doing unbelievably well. Things are thriving in my life. I'm picking up new customers, new contracts daily. I'm getting busier and busier, but I'm taking the time to delegate and still make it home on time for my videos. Still, making sure that I'm off in the gym right now because I'm actually just coming so you guys I keep you guys in the loop. I had my post-surgical follow-up today. I got to go in for an ultrasound tomorrow because I think I might have given myself a hernia because I chose to go to the gym early, and I don't think I did. We're on the fence. I might have. I hope I didn't. I got my injection today, and here's the beauty of it, guys. I was a little concerned. Well, not even concerned. I was accepting it, but I wasn't real happy with the idea of getting that injection in my stomach right now with the surgery last week. And fantastic. I walked in today, and before I could say a word, because I accepted, I'm like, oh, just put it up here, not down over there, because, that's where the surgery is. They said, no, we don't want to put that in your stomach. We researched if we can put it in the back of your arm. Guys, getting that injection in the back of my arm today was a gift. That felt so much better than that burning sensation in the belly. I'm like, wow. Just one more sign that when you step up and you do the right thing, you take the leap of faith, the most amazing things, like every concern I have, whether I voice it or not, because I'm being so intentional with my God, is just being rewarded to me. Like, they're being taken care of because, guys, it's a culmination of everything I'm doing. I've cut out all negativity. I don't focus. And here's the thing, guys, I'm human. I get frustrated. I get lonely. I get angry, just like anybody else, but I don't dwell in those places, right? What I do is I immediately recognize that I've gone to a bad place, and I stop and I go, what do you mean? Let's look at what you've done. Let's look at where you were and where you are, and then let's count our blessings and see how upset we really are over any triviality, right? And that brings me right back in it. Because here's the thing, guys. If you want your life to continue to get better, you have to start feeling better. The universe rewards your energy with more of what you're putting out. So if you're dwelling in stress and overwhelm and anxiety, you're going to get more things to be anxious about. You're going to get more things to stress out, right? But I've chosen to see the lesson and the good in everything. Guys, I found good in my surgery. I found a lesson in getting covered in 200 gallons of liquid shit last week. I literally, even I see my regular nurse constantly, but I rarely do I actually see my doctor. And I had my doctor visit, then my nurse is my monthly nurse visit. And Natasha, my nurse, and I, we talked for a while because she's a great person. And she had a good laugh, and she's like, she goes, Vanessa loves you. She goes, you just shake people up everywhere you go. And I go, what do you mean? Because I'm just me, right? But she goes, I actually had to warn her. I said, watch out. He's got a lot of energy. And the doctor even said to me, he goes, is this how you normally are? And I said, yeah, this is actually my baseline. I'm incredibly happy. And she goes, it's amazing. Like, I wish we had 100 more patients like you, but it's shocking. And then she said something to Natasha, like, a little energy. Wow, this kid's a beam of light. And I love that today, guys. But it's because that's literally how excited I am for the opportunities and the fact that I know in my soul that I'm in alignment, and therefore my blessings are going to continue. I don't dwell on what I don't have. I focus on what I want to have by feeling to it like as though I feel I have that now. And I don't do it in some woo-woo crazy thing. What I do is I go back and understand the beauty of everything I have now, because I've chosen to be happy when I had shit. And it changed. It took months, guys. I was sitting on camera here going, guys, I know I don't have a pot to piss in on this, but I have the internal feeling. I'm focusing on the blessings I have, and I know they're going to multiply. And they have. And they continue to, constantly. Because I continue to step up and reach more and try to do better. And every one of you can do this. It is literally... It is so hard to describe, but I want to get this point across because I want you to do these things, because the more that do it, guys, my rewards are your rewards. The more of us that step up, the better, right? Because I do more good things for more people. I'm capable of helping more people now. I'm capable of being an example of what's possible today, and I'm inspiring people to step up and do better in their lives. You can do the same, and the more of us that do it, the better the world becomes. We can all sit there and focus on, and that's the thing, guys, like literally, I know, people, oh, you don't do, no, I don't, I'm very selfish right now, because I only allow into my energetic field what is good for me, because I was in a bad place, and I knew I had to be in a better place. I knew I was better than that. I knew I wanted better. I knew I was capable of better, and that was the most disappointing thing. After decades of being in addiction, I understood that I was so far below my potential that it was disgusting. I'm like, I'm just disappointing myself on a daily basis. I don't do that today. The second I start to disappoint myself, I change that behavior, and on top of that, I don't dwell on it. I then start looking at the blessings I have, and it brings me back into an upbeat, happy mood, and that brings more good, beautiful energy into my field. It brings more blessings into my existence, physically, in reality. It's as simple as that. And it's complicated as that, really. But guys, the culmination of what I'm trying to tell you is you have to, in order for things to get better, you have to feel better, right? And you can't just say, okay, well, I'm gonna say I feel better and not feel better. You gotta focus on the things that make you feel better and cut out the things that are keeping you stressed and overwhelmed and anxious. You gotta remove them from your life, and then you gotta focus on the things that are good so that you physically feel better. Because the better you feel, the better your life gets. The better you start acting, the better you start doing, the better you start speaking of yourself. And the more you do, that compounds and just rolls and steamrolls into better experiences, better opportunities, better situations. And then when you step into those, take stock, and first of all, stop and celebrate it, because you got to celebrate your wins, guys. Now, I don't do enough of that. I got to do that more. I mean, I'm so incredibly proud of myself. I love myself incredibly. But I'm getting really, really driven, and I'm starting to see that I'm letting too many opportunities to stop and just smell the roses and appreciate life go by. And when I say that, you watch, and the next week I will change that, because that's how intentional I am today. The second I realize that I can be doing better, I stop and I do better. And every one of you will start doing this if you start taking those steps. It's getting a little bit long, guys. We're going to leave it at that. Guys, always remember, you deserve the absolute best. Always remember, I love you truly. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here with me. God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.